It was one of the worst losses in franchise history, ladies and gentlemen. The Raptors came into New Orleans on the second night of a back-to-back and got shellacked by the Pelicans, losing by 38 points in a game that was done before it even started.
Fatigue is part of this league. And this is a league that there are no excuses, and nobody's asking you, what did you do yesterday? You have a job to do today. And our performance today was unacceptable, and this is not the way we want to go about the business. We just did not do enough in any area tonight to be a competitive team.
I mean, when you look at that, does it break down differently for the starters or some of the guys you brought off the bench? I mean, a lot of times you have guys who are dying for minutes, and then they have an opportunity.
We are a team, and tonight it was a whole team that failed, from starters to bench to guys at the end that came out to play in the fourth quarter. That's not it. That's not it. And after playing very competitive game yesterday and went into 2 overtimes, this was very disappointing, the way we performed today.
The real story of this game was on the Pelicans side. Brandon Ingram erupted for 20 of his final 41 points in the third quarter, scoring 15 of those points in under 3 minutes and knocking down 7 threes on the night to seal the deal for New Orleans. The Raptors defense had little to no effect on Ingram, but they gave up 130 plus points for the 7th time in a month and their 3rd game in a row.
It was a lot of stuff. It was from aggressiveness on the ball. It was in the first quarter rebounding. It was getting back in transition. We were just like one step late on everything we were doing tonight, and that included those pick and roll defense. And we were on the wrong side there, trying to send him to the left hand, and we just did not execute what we were supposed to do tonight.
Now, it wasn't all bad for the Raptors. Grady Dick played 30 minutes tonight and dropped a career high 22 points on 16 shots, showing off his off-the-bounce game, his shooting touch, and a great level of confidence. This is another good game for Grady, who has put up 10 plus points in 3 of his last 10 games, continues to become more comfortable making decisions, and as the season progresses, will no doubt get more minutes.
He was able to get on the spots on the floor to get open shots. He was able to get a couple of really good cuts. I thought that there were a couple of opportunities more for him to do that.
Yeah, just getting comfortable, as the possessions kept going, and like I said, finding my groove with the shots, and it's obviously a lot easier to get past to when you're making shots. So that's going to be with any team, and like I was talking about with the unselfish guys on this team is they're always going to find that one more pass, and we continue to make a great pass into, or make a good pass into a great pass, and we're gonna really evolve and be the team we need to be.
Now, folks, this game was atrocious. I don't want to go through every agonizing detail and torment you. This is one of those games that you throw away and just never talk about again, except for Grady's performance, and that's what we have to talk about in the film room. A career night for Grady Dick, and he showed off the full repertoire. I love pointing out just how high his release point is on these jumpers, so it makes it really tough to contest even when you put a hand in his face. Here he is, nice little twirl action to get him, flaring out to the 3-point line. Grady gets Larry Nance Jr. off of his spot, attacks, and settles into a mid-range jump shot. Again, it's hard to contest this because he's 6'9", has that kind of size to him, and he can shoot over the top of a defender like this. Really, really great patience by Grady. Also, great job settling into that jumper. What really popped tonight was that Grady is pretty comfortable putting the ball on the floor and making plays, and this is something that he's shown beforehand as well, but the Raptors really aren't getting anything going on this offensive possession. No advantages created, so quick little pin down for Grady. He comes off of it, pick and roll with him and Jakob, and then he just explodes to the basket, goes all the way and finishes in the lane. His ability to put the ball on the floor, his ability to make plays, and also finish around the basket, that's something that popped tonight, and it's also what makes him more than the shooter he's been put out to be. Speaking of the shooting, this was an awesome play to show you just the potential of what he has in that shooting department. Comes off of 2 screens, pops out to the 3-point line, in motion, catches, squares up, and knocks this down. Honestly, that is incredible work, incredible movement shooting, It's what the Raptors drafted him for. And again, another great play where he puts the ball on the floor. So a pin down, he comes off of it here, and now he's curling to the basket. Nice little pump fake to get Larry Nance off of his spot, and then attacks the basket once again. So Grady Dick showing off what he can do when he puts the ball on the floor. We saw a few games ago those alley-oops. He was making plays, once he got the ball, comes off of a pick and roll, throws the alley-oop up top, or nice little dump off pass to the dunker spot for a finish. The fact that he's comfortable with the ball in his hands is something that is so elevated for what he is as a 20-year-old sharpshooter coming out of college. Yeah, you expect him to be great on the shooting side of things, and that's coming. With time, you're seeing he's knocking down his shots. He's in stride more. He has more confidence. He's also getting more opportunity, so, that goes hand in hand. But Grady, he has been a bright spot here in a month that has been littered with development. Development is going to be the key word as we talk about these Raptors for the rest of the season, right? How they're able to stack these skills on top of one another. And the fact that Grady is so good at putting the ball down already, is so good at being able to make an extra pass, make a play, be the connective part of an offense. That is really important for a guy who is going to be filling into this, secondary role next to a guy like Scotty Barnes, next to a guy like Emmanuel Quickley, next to a guy like RJ Barrett. Those guys need the spacing, and having the movement shooting, curling off of two screens, catch, shoot. You can envision in your head how it would work once this team gets to a point where it could be competitive. So that's where things become exciting when you're watching these type of players, even though it was an ugly game, even though the Raptors absolutely got clobbered, wasn't even close at any point in this one. You take home the fact that Grady Dick had a really good game, took another step in his career. Just the game in general. The Raptors, it's weird to look at this Raptors team now compared to what they were in December. They weren't that great of a defensive team in December, but at least they had a good defensive nucleus. So you could rely on OG Anunoby getting a stop on any defensive possession. You could rely on Pascal Siakam to, work. Although, to be honest, both of those guys were sort of quiet quitting near the end. Like, they had the size and the ability to get a stop on any possession, right? The Raptors are undersized now. Bruce Brown was trying to guard Brandon Ingram for a bunch of those possessions. Guess what? Brandon Ingram scored 41 points on your head top. There is a lack of size on this team. There's a lack of defensive versatility on this team. There's a lack of point of attack perimeter defense on this team, more specifically too. I don't know if they're able to address that at this deadline. I don't think they'll be able to, unless they're able to turn Bruce Brown into a player like Quentin Grimes. I know that's been rumored, but Quentin Grimes would help the point of attack defense tremendously. He's also a young player that would fit with this core well. All that being said, I just don't see a world in which they are able to, address that problem right now in the immediate future at the trade deadline. I think this is more so a problem in terms of roster construction that you approach in the summer, in finding guys who can play with size on this team. But also, it's not just size. It's size and shooting that you need. You need to still be able to match what the roster style is supposed to be, which is centered around Scotty Barnes, building out the shooting, building out what he looks good with, and that is shooting, ball handling, size. So you got to address those three things. You have added ball handling in Quickley and Barrett. You've added some shooting in Grady and Quickley. You still need a little bit more shooting, to be honest with you, but you need that size desperately. This team was destitute without Jakob Poeltl. This team is clearly destitute without RJ Barrett because he's one of the bigger bodies on the team. And not to mention RJ Barrett didn't play tonight. It was very clear offensively that they desperately missed his downhill game, being able to get to the rim and kick it out just to create an open shot. It is so important. And wanted to mention another thing. Emmanuel Quickley struggled tonight. I praised him in the Oklahoma City Thunder game for his fourth quarter execution, for the way that he was making decisions, for the way that he worked with Jakob Poeltl, the shots that he was getting to in the fourth quarter and overtime. I thought that was an important moment for him. But I thought he struggled in this game because he was a little bit too sticky with the ball. The reads were just not that quick enough. Like, he got to the position, he got to the point where he created an advantage for someone, but the decision, the moment to kind of the computing in his head was just a tad bit slow. And That's part of the process, folks. I'm not going to say that like I'm throwing out the book, I give up on Emmanuel. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like that is a growth process. You got to fail in order to succeed. And tonight, I thought he needs to learn from some of those mistakes. The sticky passing, not making the decision quick enough, not seeing the read quick enough. These are areas that he needs to grow if his goal is to eventually be a starting point guard for this team. So that is essentially it, folks. It was an ugly one. Some developmental talk here. They got another one against Charlotte on Wednesday, and then it's the trade deadline. By the way, speaking of the trade deadline, pull up to Rivoli tomorrow or today. If you're listening to this today, it should be a fun one. Going to talk about, all things trade deadline related. It should be fun. I'm excited to hang out with you guys, and anybody who does show up, be sure to come say hi. Always down to say hi and chop it up. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe to Raptors Republic as always. And we will see you guys for another recap on Wednesday. Take care.